Hello and welcome to this recording of Not Another Thing, how ChatGPT can take stuff off your plate and not add to it. In this short video, I am going to be sharing you loads of different things that you can use with ChatGPT in order to improve the efficiency of your practice. But that's enough about that. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to those people that didn't hear me just say hello and welcome a moment ago. It's a lovely evening here in North Cambridgeshire in Wisbech where I am, and tonight we're going to be talking about ChatGPT and AI in general, but language models rather than artificial intelligence as it appears in some software. I'm going to share with you lots of different ideas and some tools and some tips that you'll be able to take away into your practice and use to save you hours of time each week. I'm going to share some of my experience and some of the experiences of the members that we are already working with. I've got loads of questions in the bank, lots of which I've already built into the presentation. But as we go through tonight in the next hour or so, if you've got any questions that you would like to ask, please pop them in the Q&A box. Hit the not the raise hand one, the Q&A button on your Zoom panel and pop them in the Q&A box and I will gladly answer them. And as I always say, I love the stupid questions. The stupid questions tend to be easier to answer. So, and lots of people are likely to have that stupid question, not be brave enough to answer it. So if you've got a stupid question, please pop it in the Q&A box and I will gladly answer it as I go through. And also, the chat box is open. So as I'm talking, if you've got any other ideas or anything that you would like to share with the community, please pop them in that chat box as well. So without further ado, I'm going to press that button, I'm going to press that button, and I'm going to press that button. And hopefully you should now be able to see the hold slide again. And if I press this button, it should give you my sole aim for today or tonight as it is now. So my aim tonight is to get you using AI. If there's nothing else that comes out of this webinar tonight or this conversation that we're having tonight, then you need to start using KPI. Now, I'm going to quantify this by saying I am not an expert. So I've not done any training here. I have not been to the States and done any courses or anything like that. But I have spent hours and hours and hours, generally speaking, with a glass of wine since November 23. So what's that? 18 months ago now, playing with it and making it work for me right the way back to when it blew my mind to start with, but right the way back to when it was pretty rudimentary, really, compared to what it is now. And ultimately, I am now using it multiple times a day. It's the first place that I go to. I'd say I'm using it more than Google, unless I'm going to buy something, which invariably would be Amazon. But unless I'm going to buy something, then my first port of call is ChatGPT or a learned language model, rather than Google and starting to Google it. We're going to touch on that perhaps a little bit towards the end. So I'm using it multiple times a day, including the weekends. And I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that I'm using outside of work as well in order to sort of start to expand your mind as to what's possible with it. Now, the first thing I'd like to say, because there's a bit of a myth about this, is that you cannot break ChatGPT. You cannot break any of the models. People come to me or they talk to me and they'll say, but what about if I tell it something and then it remembers it, or I tell it something that I shouldn't tell it and then it remembers it? Well, the long and the short of it is that you can't tell it anything that it's not supposed to hear. So if you want to go off into the seedy world of wherever it is that you want to go, it will just reject it basically because it has a conscience. But whatever you put in it, eventually it will forget it. Or if you tell it to forget it, it will forget it straight away and you can move on. So you cannot break ChatGPT, or you can't break any of the AI. So just go away and have fun. And I don't believe that it will ever take over. I mean, we can go off into the big wide world of robots and Terminators and stuff like that. I don't believe that it will take over, although I did see the other day a thing on Twitter or Instagram where ChatGPT had told one of the users how it was going to take over the world by making us dependent on it. And it was a little bit, bit too true to life. But I don't believe it will take over, completely take over, but it will take over those that use it. So those that use it will take over those that don't. And we're already seeing it with the accountancy practices that we work with, and the ones that are quick to go to it, quick to work with it and come up with solutions. They're developing much quicker. They're becoming far more efficient, and ultimately included within that efficiency is higher profits, or they can do it for cheaper. They can do it at lower profits. But we're not going into receipt processing and all that sort of things today. But we are going into how you can use these LLMs to help you become more efficient. Now, I'm not going to go into how to create it and how to set it up and all that sort of stuff. We'll do that on the day when we get together on the 10th of June, which I'll talk to you about briefly in a minute. But what I want you to think about is think about having an unlimited number of team members. And those team members are highly skilled, highly trained. They've got a massive amount of knowledge, but they can only do what you tell them to do. So the better your instructions, and that's getting even better now, but the better your instructions, the more likely that team member, that employee, is to do what it is that you want them to do. So if you want an SEO expert, for example, to review your website, you don't now need to go to an SEO website expert. You can get ChatGPT to do that for you. Now, the value or the actual quality of the SEO research on your website depends on the quality of the prompt that you put in, but ChatGPT can help you create that prompt in order to do the thing. So if you think about anything it is that you've got on your to-do list, the stuff that you've been putting off, the big stuff that you think you might not get round to, all of a sudden you've got this workforce that's available to you, depending on your instructions, in order for you to catch up with those things. So as I'm talking today, as I'm talking tonight, start thinking about the things that you've got on your to-do list that you might choose to work with or be able to develop. Now, that workforce will work for free. Okay, so sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but a lot quicker than what a team member would be. And the reason why I've put well almost on there is, from a work perspective or from a cost perspective, there's a cost to the environment and the process and all the rest of it. But I'm a firm believer that you need to pay for it. I know there's lots of questions in the bank. Claire asked about it, and Donna asked about it. Whether you should pay for ChatGPT. Now, it's $20 a month or 20 quid a month, so 240 quid a year. For me, it's not even worth a decision, because it's only 240 quid a year. And when you pay for it, you get unlimited questions, unlimited prompts. It will generate images faster, and most importantly, you will get the most up-to-date model that you can be working for. So if any of you are sat there thinking, oh, I've played a little bit with the ChatGPT, the normal one, the free one, and didn't get on very well with it, but pay for it. And if you've not even played with the free one, then make sure you pay for it in order to get access to the best quality model that you can get access to. As I say, it's a no-brainer for $240 or 240 quid a year. Now, I'm going to share lots of things with you today, lots of ideas with you, and obviously in an hour, I'm not going to get go into a massive amount of detail. I'm going to share some stuff with you, but we've got a day coming up on the 10th of June. That's in Kettering. We'll kick off about 9:30. Mark's put the link in the chat box. We'll kick off about 9:30. We finish at 4 o'clock. And we've got a whole day talking about ChatGPT. And when I go through tonight, some of the things, I'm going to show you some of the prompts and models. We'll go into much more depth, and I'll give you the prompts and give you the instructions on that day, so you can take them away, stick them straight into your ChatGPT, or modify them if you're going to use Gemini or wherever it is that you're going to go. And we will be away. We are going into a lot more depth. Good morning or good evening, Daniel. Just seen you post in the chat box. Now, we had 10 early bird tickets for that, which were $295. They've all gone already. So I expected to come on tonight and say there's a few tickets left and you can have the tickets. So what we've decided to do is we've released 10 more of the early bird tickets. So as you're on this webinar tonight, if you to come along, you can still have that ticket for $295 as long as you click that link and go and get that ticket go and get that ticket now. If you don't, the price will go up, or the price has already gone up to anybody that's not on the webinar. It's at 345, so it's an extra 50 quid, and very shortly it will go up to the 395, so it's another 100 quid. But anyway, so if you want to come along, if you've got any questions about that, then pop them in the chat box or pop them in the Q&A box, and I will gladly answer them. If you want to come along, get that ticket now while it's as cheap as what it is. So let's talk about getting started. I'm not going to go through how to log on and how to register with it and all the rest of it. There's all sorts of stuff that we'll share on the 10th of June about how you can set up some, and you can customize it, and you can set up some custom instructions before you create your voice. But basically, to get started, open an account, register an account, pay your 20 quid, and then just ask it something. Okay. Now, the more you play with it, the more you use it, the more your brain will start working with it, start talking to it as a natural person, and then you'll start getting the answers and start learning how you can answer the prompts and things. And as I say at the beginning, you cannot break it. So if you go in and you go off into a wormhole or whatever it is, just delete the chat, open up a new chat, and away you go. So the best place to start, there's lots of people that have asked, how do I get started? The best thing is just to ask it something. Now, if you can't think of something to ask it, the next best thing is to ask it what it can do to help. Okay, so if you've got a problem, let's say, for example, you might have 100 people that applied for a job, and you don't know how to analyze that 100 CVs, then you just go in and say to ChatGPT, I've got 100 people applied for a job. How can you help me work out who it is to interview? And then ChatGPT will come back with an answer, and then you can say, okay, I quite like that, and then you can follow along, and it will play along with you, and it will tell you what to do and all the rest of it. Upload the CVs, and it'll analyze it, and it will talk you through it. You might, for example, this is one that that I've just used just recently. I was at my holiday home in Hunstanton, and I'd got a client in Derby, and we needed to meet, and we needed to meet halfway. And in the good old days, what I would do is I'd type it into Google Maps like I've done on the screen now, and I would try and work out, as you'll see, it's 2 minutes 37. So what's that? An hour and a quarter for is about halfway. And I'd try and work out on here whereabouts we are. So whereabouts is an hour and a quarter for both of us. And then once I'd done that, I'd agree it was Swatham or wherever it was on there, and then I'd go away and I'd look for venues. Now, what we could do on ChatGPT is I can say, I need to meet a member, a customer halfway between Derby and Hunstanton. Can you tell me where halfway is? It'll tell me. How else can you help me do it? And then it will come back and it will say, what sort of venue do you want? Do you want a car park? Do you want electric chargers, etc., etc.? And over time, it's learned the type of venues that I want in order to meet with a customer. So it will come back and suggest venues. The first time I did it, it came back with a roadside cafe thing, like a truck stop thing. It came back with a hotel, and it came back with a fine dining restaurant in order for me to have those meetings. Yeah, and it comes back with the URLs and the hotels and the telephone numbers and all the rest of it. So instead of me having to do all of that stuff myself, I've just had a conversation with ChatGPT. It comes back with the answers, and away we go. Now, you could have asked it that question, as I say. You could have asked it, how could it help me plan a meeting with a client that I've got to meet halfway? And it would have come back and said, this is what we can do. That's a really simple answer, really simple way of something that I could have gone to a PA or a VA or an admin person or whatever and asked them to do it, whereas ChatGPT has come back infinitely quicker than what they would have done by the time I'd given them the instructions. Now, I know what we're doing within Greenstones, and we've got lots of stuff going on, and some of that I'll share with you a bit later. But last week, I asked in the community what things members are using ChatGPT for, or Bard, or Gemini, or whichever ones they're using, in order to give you a flavour as to what's going on in the wider world. So some of the things that people are using it for are drafting interview questions. Now, I've helped a member just recently. They had 6 CVs that they'd whittled it down to. We uploaded the CVs into ChatGPT. We uploaded the advert into ChatGPT, and then we asked ChatGPT to come up with the top 5 questions that we should be asking each of those 6 candidates based on reconciling their CVs against the advert that we had uploaded. And it came back with 5 really, really good questions for each of the 6 candidates that we had uploaded. We then went on to ask it to test the weaknesses in the candidate CV. So it came up with a list of an interview questions, a list of technical questions that we could ask in order to establish whether they'd got the right experience or not. So drafting interview questions is one of the things. Rephrasing interview questions. So instead of asking the same thing over and over and over again, you get it to ask revised or rephrased interview questions. Finding HMRC manual reference numbers is one that somebody put on the Facebook group. Now, I've got an HMRC bot that I'm going to share how it works and the start of the code yesterday. I'm going to share how that works. And this is one of the big things that saves us a huge amount of time at Greenstones and technical time as well. So instead of it being a manager or a lead advisor or somebody that's got a client relationship that's doing the HMRC review or answering the client's questions, all of a sudden it's a customer care or an admin person that's being able to come up with it. And then they can present the information to the manager if you want in order for them to check it. But that's a really big one. I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. Mark's just told me 2 of those 10 tickets for the 10th of June have already gone. So we've only got 8 of those gone as I'm talking now. Another one's building a holiday itinerary. So somebody has said, we're going to Japan for 2 weeks. Can you come up with an itinerary so we can work and move around the country, etc., etc. So an outside of work thing. Sending draft accounts to clients with a Loom video running through the figures queries, and then send the transcript to ChatGPT in order to summarize into bullet points to send the video. So what they're doing is basically they're doing a Loom video talking through the account. So when the customer gets the accounts, they've got a video of them talking through, and then from the transcription or from the audio that they've produced through Loom, they're then sticking that into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is then creating a summary for them. I'm going to talk to you a little while about this little device that I've got running here today. Applaud, it's called. I'll share how that works a bit later, and how you can make your meetings more effective. A little bit boring for me, this one was, but summarising charity SORP consultation documents, so people can understand it without having to read the lot. I've got people that are summarising legal documents, so they're going through the PDFs. I shared a post at the beginning of this week, the end of last week, where you can summarise books now. So anything where you need to have a big quantity of documents produced or summarized or read, you can get it to produce an executive summary for you. You just need to be careful of the prompt on that one, because obviously the way you ask the prompt, it will then deliver the answer in response to your question, rather than be a bit more of a generic response. So you just need to watch your bias on that one. Again, I'll talk about more about that on the 10th. Drafting documentation for share-to-share transfers, minutes, step-by-step filing guidelines, accountants and mergers, A&M amendments. There's a whole world of stuff that you could do out of that. There's an accountant that I know that's bought an accountancy practice, didn't want to pay a lawyer to do the legal agreement, so he's created the legal agreement through ChatGPT. Where you are on that spectrum of all that scares the life out of me, I definitely want a lawyer, or don't really bother with a contract, so a ChatGPT want to be better than the contract that I didn't bother with. That's up to you, but it can be done if you want it. If you want it to do. The writing job adverts. This one is again blown lots of people away. So I have created a bot that will create a job advert. You basically answer 9 questions. You just speak into ChatGPT, you answer 9 questions, and it will write a job advert for you, and then it will then say you could improve it by adding these things in, or potentially add things in. And away you go. So instead of having to sit there, it used to take us weeks to write a proper job advert. I say weeks. I'd allow a week for it to go backwards and forwards and to work out whether we're improving the language or not. But that was done in a matter of hours to write that job advert. Daniel was I'm not going to read the joke, Daniel. I'll read it later when I get done. So other things that they're doing. Number 9, writing emails to all clients about ongoing stages of acquired company merger and MTD. Writing emails and refining emails to clients. Again, as I'll show you, it's one of my top 3 that we're using it for within Greenstones, and we're encouraging members to use it. So if you're having to write a difficult email or respond to a difficult email from a client, then you can get ChatGPT to generate it, or you type it up and then you get ChatGPT to refine it. Especially if your normal email style is quite authoritarian or quite aggressive or quite abrupt, then ChatGPT will flare it out and make it less aggressive, and will add more detail to it for if you're working with a client that likes that sort of stuff. At number 10, we got creating job descriptions, appraisal notes. So you record the appraisal meeting and then you get ChatGPT to pull it together and do an executive summary, identify the actions and all that sort of stuff, and writing covering letters, sending stuff out to job aspects. For a disciplinary matter, which is Daniel's forte, really, but working out how the disciplinary should go, what should be said within the disciplinary, again, recording it and making sure that the notes are up to date. Writing reports on client bookkeeping, what's needed to improve and simplify language. Again, this is another one that we've been playing with within Greenstone. So once upon a time, if somebody rang up with a zero query, you had two options. You either talk them through it, and we would, generally speaking, we'd talk them through it, we'd record it on Loom, and then we'd send them a copy of it, or you'd point them to the zero training or the zero training video. Now what you can do is you can get ChatGPT to do that training for you. So you just say to ChatGPT, I've got a client that can't allocate a credit note to an invoice. Can you write a step-by-step process on how to do that? ChatGPT then comes back, we fire that off, and all of a sudden we've got a resource, and the client's got a resource as to how to allocate a credit note to an invoice. There's loads of different things like that. And you can get it to analyze your working papers file. You just need to be careful. We're going to come on to GDPR in a minute, but you can get it to analyze a working papers file and do reports on the adjustments or the adjustments in the journals, a whole world of stuff that you could do. Now, up to about 3 months ago, the maths in ChatGPT were pretty rubbish. It wasn't very good at analysis work at all. But with the latest update, it is really quite good. The statistics, I think, when I see there was 83% accuracy, but it feels a whole lot higher than that to me. But anyway. So that's writing reports, creating an action figure version of myself. That was the craze that was on LinkedIn that everybody was doing, and I've created multiple versions of those in different ways and shapes. Creating slides for presentations. Again, you create pictures of anything, basically. Create pictures of anything that you like, as long as it's not immoral. So it won't do porn and all that sort of stuff, but anything that you want is open up to your imagination. And sometimes it's like the Lego stuff that we're doing for Accountex. You ask it to create stuff that's based on me for Lego, and then it will go off and it will start to ask you other stuff as well. Number 15, summarizing complex info into non-accounting speak. So this was one that I demonstrated last year at when we ran the AI event. And basically, we was playing with the HMRC bot, which I'll share with you in a moment, and somebody asked it to explain top slicing relief. And I have a standard instruction, again, you'll see this in a minute, for it to create content as though a 16-year-old will understand it. Otherwise, it will create content in a way that it thinks the reader will want to understand it. And the reason why I picked 16 is because most people, if you believe what you believe in the media, most people have a reading age in the UK of 11. That's why the Sun and the Mirror and newspapers like that, tabloids, are written in the way that they are written. So I've picked 16 on the basis that our clients were a little bit more than the 11-year-old understanding. But anyway, we asked it to explain top slicing relief. It came back and told us how top slicing relief worked. And then somebody in the audience said, could you get it to explain it so a 5-year-old would understand it? And what it did was talk about top slicing relief as a jar of sweets. And it talked about putting the sweets in and then averaging the sweets out over the 10-year period, etc., etc. So you can take really complex subjects and get it to dumb it down into a way that people of a certain age will understand. And it messes with something that we've been playing with in Greenstones. When you challenge it like that, or when you ask it to do that, some of the language that it uses, I think, is stupid language. And again, I'm going to share this a bit later, but it's stupid language. But it's the language our customers, our clients use. And if we're communicating to our customers in a way that they don't understand, it would be far better to get ChatGPT or something like that to change it so it works or goes out in a language that they understand, because we can then get them to do what it is that we want to do, them being the customers. And then 16, replacing the need to hire an additional employee. And this is going to get bigger and bigger. And obviously the employer's national insurance thing's kicked in, and the SSP thing, and it kicks in next year. But the more you can get it to do on your behalf more quickly, obviously, the less likelihood that you'll need the labour cost. And then there's loads more different things. So we're using it for PNC analysis. So PNC stands for potential new client. So if you stick... you're going to go and meet ABC Limited. So Mr. Jones of ABC Limited. If you stick in Mr. Jones potentially sticking his LinkedIn profile or their LinkedIn profile. You stick in the URL of their website. Ask ChatGPT to go away and find out whatever it is that you can find out about them. Facebook is a really good source as well if you can get their Facebook linked, and then it will come back and it will tell you roughly how many if it's in public play, how many employees they've got, whether they're growing or not, whether they've moved recently or not, whether they like dogs and all that sort of stuff. So you can go into that meeting knowing far more about that client, the potential client, than what you could ever know if you just sat there for hours and hours and hours and hours researching them. Another really, really clever thing that we've got people doing is specific marketing pieces. So once upon a time, you would write a blog, you'd publish it on your website, you'd publish it on LinkedIn. Now you can stick that blog, well, you can get obviously ChatGPT to write the blog in the first place, but you can then get ChatGPT to rewrite that blog specifically for dentists or specifically for creative agencies or garages or whatever niche it is that you're working in. Excuse me. So, or working for. So all of a sudden you can have lots of the same blog for the specific niches. Now, I've got one customer, one accountant that I'm working for. He's been doing direct mail. Okay, so he's been sending out direct mail pieces. He's worked out of the 1,000 customers or the 1,000 names on his list, he's worked out that 25% of them are hoteliers. So what he's now doing is he's rewriting his direct mail letters into hotels. Yeah. So if he's writing to them and talking to them about how the national minimum wage is going to affect their budgets and the national insurance, he can talk to them in a way in the hotel language model, excuse me, and change it so it fits exactly for the hotel. And then also ChatGPT, because he knows it's going to the hotel, it will suggest things that you could add into the letter in order to make it even more specific for the person. And I've got another chap in up north, and he told you who he was then, who is writing blogs to post to potential customers specifically for that potential customer. Now, nobody else is doing that as far as I know. No, I mean, once upon a time, it cost you a small fortune in time, effort, resources to create that. But he's identifying them. He's got LinkedIn profiles. He's got websites. He knows who it is that he wants to work with. He knows probably what problem they've got, and then he's writing a blog that he's then posting to them in the post, saying, speaking to them in their language. Benchmarking analysis, again, something came up within the evolution group. Does anybody work with dentists? Do you know what the KPIs they should be measuring? If you're going out to see a PNC, a potential new customer, and you've never worked with that industry before, you can ask it what benchmarking things, what key performance indicators they should be measuring. So when you go out, you know whether you're talking about the capacity model or process costing or whatever it is that you're talking about, and you can sound more knowledgeable than what you've ever been before. Now, I'm not a fake it till you make it type place, but if you can have that conversation and you can learn before you go, then that's far better than going in blind. Excel formulas, one that I was playing with the other week. Can't get the Excel formula to work, so you stick it in a ChatGPT. ChatGPT will talk you through it. Teaching Zero and QuickBooks to clients is another one that I've already talked about. Learning new tools. So we use a piece of software to deliver webinars called OBS. So rather than do an OBS course, it was 21 hours long, this OBS course was that I looked. I just went on and asked ChatGPT whether it could help me. It said yes. I told it what problems I'd got, and it came back more or less instantly with a step-by-step process in order to change and correct the problems that I've got. And then a couple from outside of work. Recipes, so you can tell there's somebody within the group that does a lot of running, a lot of exercise and stuff like that. So he's asking it about his nutritional requirements, and then there was another chap in there that had basically gone to the fridge. He'd got some leftover, whatever it was, let's call it leftover ham, some basil and whatever, told ChatGPT what it was, and ChatGPT came up with a recipe in order to use the leftovers, what they've got in the fridge. But there is a massive amount of stuff that you can use it for. It's only really limited by your imagination and how many times that you get to use it. So there was 101 different things. Now, there was lots of questions in the registrations around how you get it to talk like you. Okay. Now, if you don't customize ChatGPT in any way, it just comes back and it will just talk as a robot, and it'll put the end dashes in it and loads of emojis and all that sort of stuff. So what you need to do in order to get it to talk like you is you need to create your own voice. And my recommendation is that you get it to create your voice, and then you also tell it your target market, the customers that you want to work with. So whenever it gives you a response, and I'll talk to you about the different ways you can do this, but whenever it gives you a response, it does that in your voice, aimed at the target market that you're working with. So within the accountant's mastermind, obviously it's accountants, bookkeepers in practice, 3 to 10 employees, blah, 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 blah. That's the target market. And the voice is my voice. Now, I've got a voice creator. Okay, now this is a bot, and again, on the 10th of June, I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail, and I'll give you this so you can go away and you can do it. But what it does is it creates a document that you can then create your own content bot with, or your own voice bot with, where you then go in order to get the responses rather than go into the general ChatGPT LLM. Now, the way this works is that you create the bot, and then within the bot, you have a set of instructions. And the start of the instructions are that you will create a voice document for me using the following steps. You will ask me to upload 5 examples of emails I've written for you to learn from. I will expect you to review each piece of text and analyze it. This is how I'd like you to carry out the task. Step 1, you will confirm that you've understood the instructions and what you're going to achieve. I will acknowledge your agreement. So what you'll do is when you go into the voice creator, I'll give you the URL to do this. It says, would you like to create a voice document? You say yes, and it will then say, okay, can you upload the first email? Now, it doesn't have to be email. If you have a different style in LinkedIn than what you have on email, you can upload 5 LinkedIn posts that you've done, or 5 emails that you've done, 5 WhatsApp messages, or 5 Facebook posts that you've done, or whatever it is. It will then go through and analyze it, and it will work out what your voice is, what your tonality is, whether you're formal or informal, whether you have jokes or however it is. And then you create the Word document, which you then upload, as I say, into ChatGPT in order for it to base all of its responses on that. So that's what I've got in the back of my content creator for TAM. So within that bot, I've got my voice document, I've got my target market, accountants and bookkeepers in practice, etc. We've got the book, if I've not mentioned that. I've got some other courses that I've ran, some content that we've produced, some transcripts from that courses, logos and stuff like that, so it knows the colors. Now, whenever I go into that, then it, as I say, it will respond as me. So on the 10th of June, I haven't got time to go into it massively now, but on the 10th of June, I will give you access to the voice creator so you can create your voice document, and then I'll show you how to create your own content creator. We've got one for Greenstones. Again, it's been a massive time saver for the people marketing, for producing content. I'll show you how to create the content creator for your practice. And away you go. It will save you a massive amount of time. Now, the next thing I want to share with you is the HMRC advisor bot. Just check if there's any questions. If you want to pop them in the Q&A box, then please do. I haven't got any in there at the moment. We've got loads to go through. Over here. So, how does the HMRC advisor bot work? Now, what we do is we set up a bot that only looks at the HMRC website. So, and look at the legislation and the guidance that it'll only look at the guidance and the legislation on the HMRC HMRC website. So you can have any team member ask HMRC any question instantly, and it will come back to you and tell you what it is that HMRC would say. So you imagine this. A client rings up and says, can I claim back VAT on entertaining expenses? Now, we as accountants, we know that it's a no. Yep. But the team member that's answered the phone, they don't know that, you're not available, or they want to respond in your place so you don't get troubled with it. So they type into ChatGPT, can I claim VAT back on entertaining expenses? ChatGPT comes back to say, to help you properly, I need to ask a few questions, clarifying questions first. Is it for clients, employees, or suppliers? Because obviously there's a difference between all three. Is it entertainment provided UK or abroad? Because obviously abroad's different to UK. Was it a business event? Was it registered, etc., etc.? Now, all that person does, and I've seen people do this, is they'll sit there and go, 1, The entertainment was for clients. 2, the entertainment provided was in the UK. 3, the entertainment was part of a business-like event. Yeah, you don't need to do all that rubbish. All you just do is tell it what it is. So it's clients, UK, no, event, and yes. And ChatGPT can then go away and work out, it knows where those answers are and what these questions are answering based on the order that you've put it in. Don't try and mix it up. But sometimes it still works that out, ironically. So you just put no, clients UK, no, yes, and then this is what it comes back with. Thanks for the information. Based on what you've told me, entertainment is for client, blah, blah, blah. The short answer is no. Your client cannot claim VAT on entertaining expenses. So that is more or less instant. So you see what I type in, get the thing, see the answers. If that's a minute, 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden the team member's got the answer and has also got the ability to look up the source on the VAT notice in order to be able to say it. And then there is an exemption of the entertainment for employees. Some VAT might be claimable, but not in this case. Would you like help understanding what counts as employee entertainment or business events? And if you said yes, then it would give you the difference between the two, and then you could have that conversation with the client. But I didn't want to in this case. What I wanted it to do is write a post on this for LinkedIn. So basically, can you write a post on this for LinkedIn? So this is literally another 30 seconds, another minute to type that in. And this is what it comes up with. Sure. Here's a LinkedIn post written in a simple professional tone that a 16-year-old can understand. That's because I've got that in the instructions. Yeah. And again, I'll show you how to do that on the 10th. Can you claim VAT back on client expenses? This is a more common question. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So it's a pretty bog standard blog post, LinkedIn post. Not overly excited, but it works. Yeah. If it was based on your voice and if it was based on the Greenstone's voice, it would be different because it would be based on your tonality and your informality, etc., etc. So I looked at that and thought, okay, it's all right, but it's not great. So I then went, that's not very engaging. Can you make it more engaging so people comment on the post? Maybe ask a question in the post or create a poll. Yeah, it's then come back with quick question. Have you ever claimed VAT back on client lunches? Be honest, most businesses don't. Yeah, so all of a sudden it's got more energy and it's more engaging. And if you have a look at the bottom here, what do you think? Have a quick vote, and it's giving you the 4 options. Now it knows on LinkedIn that you're limited to 4, so it will never go 5. And it will give you those ideas. Now in a minute, I'm going to share with you an idea that it gave us around the spring budget that turned a pretty bog standard mediocre post on Greenstone spring budget into a conversation on the Facebook group that we've got that was infinitely better. So that's the HMRC bot. If you take nothing more than that away from the day on the 10th of June, you'll have had your money's worth. You'll have had your 295 quid over and over and over again. And that's without even taking it and putting it on LinkedIn. So you've got anybody in the company that can basically ask HMRC what it is that you're going to do, how to answer a question that your client's got, and away they go. Now, meetings. Excuse me. There was a couple of questions about how we can use ChatGPT or how we can use AI in meetings. There's all sorts of apps out there, and this meeting on Zoom is obviously being recorded, and we'll have the audio, and then we can get it transcribed through Otter in our case, and then we can load it up to ChatGPT. It's not very convenient if you're sat in a meeting room with a client. So what we're now doing is we're taking little Plauds in with us, 150 quid off Amazon. Love a bit of technology. It basically sits on the desk and it records the meeting. Now, I've had it doing it with 4 people, and it can distinguish between the 4. It's supposed to be able to distinguish up to 20, but we're going to be playing with that at the Evolution meeting in June to see whether it works. What you do is you stick that. It appears in your phone. You can have it paid to transcribe on your phone, or again, I export that, upload it into Otter, and it gives you a transcript of the meeting. You can then ask ChatGPT, upload it into ChatGPT, and you can ask ChatGPT to do whatever it is that you like with it. So you could say, what actions were created during the course of this meeting, and it will give you a list of actions. You could ask it to tell you what the pain points were during the course of that meeting, and it will tell you what your client's pain points were. Now, sometimes when you read those pain points, you think, well, I don't remember him talking about that, or I don't remember them talking about that, or I didn't think that was a particularly important pain point. I didn't think it was, but it listens unbiasedly. Yeah, whereas we have these preconceived ideas that we know what it is to fix the client's problems. We know what the client's problems are, and sometimes we're not listening to what the client's sharing with us. So the biggest one, the best one I've done, is a 5-hour meeting that was recorded on that, uploaded it into ChatGPT. It summarized all the action points. It summarized the tonality of the meeting. It broke it down into different categories that we talked about. It quoted the client. It gave me the client's words. So again, I can then use that in marketing. And the analysis that it gave me off the back of that meeting it was absolutely incredible compared to what Simon could have done if I'd have been making notes, etc., etc. So if there's one thing in order to make your meetings better, if it's online, obviously use Zoom or whatever it is. If it's offline, then get it recorded. Sometimes, when clients talk to you about how good they are or how good you are, they give you a testimonial and you go, oh, I wish I'd have recorded that. Well, there you can. Yeah, you just have it sat there. And it's like a little credit card. It's not very thick at all, you see, and it just sits there. And away they go, and away they go. So that's meetings and applaud. Mark's just got messages. How excited he was. Yeah, I was away. I'm very passionate about this. Another one, load of questions about GDPR. Now, depending on what you believe and who you believe, there isn't a GDPR problem. So if you believe the people that have created the software, then there isn't one. I don't trust it. So whenever I'm uploading anything into ChatGPT, I always remove the client names. Generally speaking, what I do is if a Word document or something like that, I'll do find and replace, and I'll change it with company 1, company 2, or whatever. So when it goes up, it doesn't have it. The ChatGPT bots, so where you're creating the HMRC bots and the content bots, they are supposed to be, depending on who you believe, more secure than the general model. But I am no GDPR expert by any stretch of the imagination. I tend to be a little bit flamboyant with the way that I work with stuff like that. So if you've got any doubts whatsoever, do not upload any documents to ChatGPT that you don't want into the big wider world. So that's ChatGPT. I've got my 3 things coming up in a minute, and then I've got another idea, and then I'll answer any questions that we've got through and any questions that we got in the chat box. Just to remind you, the next date, as I say, it's an extra date. So we had a date in the diary for the 11th of, the 11th of June. We had 40 places in the hotel. They're all fully gone now. So we've gone to the hotel, get an extra date, and I think we're up to 18, 19 people on that date. As I said, as you're here watching this video, we've got I think Mark told me 2 goes. We've got 8 tickets, 8 early bird tickets. So you got the ability to save yourself 50 quid and come along. It's a fantastic hotel. There's a spa and the food's great. You get your lunch and all the other stuff. You get access to me, the conversations with the community, and all the rest of it. So Mark's just popped that in there again, so don't get lost off the sheet. If you want to come along or to come along, then you need to get your ticket. Otherwise, they will be all gone. So one of the questions, and as a bit of a summary, one of the questions were the top 3 things that we are using it within Greenstones in order to save us time. So number 1 is creating content that people want to read. And I've put there potholes to remind me to talk to you about the pothole story. So if you can define your customer, the profile of your customer, your ideal customer, tell ChatGPT who that is, and then all of a sudden the content that it's creating is specifically for them. So let me talk to you about the pothole story and how you can use this. We did or created a spring budget report. So blah, blah, blah. Angela from Cant stood up, did what she did. We created a summary. There was 5 points on it. Yeah, I looked at it and went, it's quite boring, really. It's not really appropriate for a target market for Peterborough business owners. But it was pretty similar to what most accountants had produced, and it was pretty similar to the generic stuff that most content producers produce. So what we asked it to do is to rewrite it, focusing on Peterborough business owners. Yeah, and of the 5 things, it cut out 2 of them, so we ended up with 3. Number 2 on the list was the fact that potholes in Peterborough could be costing Peterborough businesses more than the increase in employers' national insurance. Now, I've got no idea where it got it from. It must have been in a Chamber of Commerce thing or in a newspaper or wherever it was. But all of a sudden, the post became about, are potholes costing you more than the increase in employers' national insurance? Yep. So we had three things. We focused on the potholes. It went in the Peterborough Business Community Facebook group, and the conversation went wild because they was talking about the potholes. Obviously, everybody got a conversation about potholes, and all of a sudden it went wild. Whereas if we'd put in there that this has changed and that's changed, and there's been some change to pips and all that sort of stuff, people wouldn't have been interested in it. So I can't emphasize the point enough. We have the curse of knowledge. We know what it is that we're talking about. And when we talk, we baffle the customers. I'm doing it now. Yeah, I know how AI works. I've got a good example of how AI works, but I'll be using language and be using shortcuts to deliver the communication that you probably some of it might be going over your head. Whereas when we use ChatGPT to write it, especially as we get it to write it for our ideal client as a 16-year-old, it will start creating content that people actually want to read rather than the generic rubbish that you put out there. It's not all rubbish. The stuff, it takes you time, but it's not as good as what it could be if you use this tool. So that's number one. Number two, checking answers, writing better emails, and being more proactive. Mark's just said there's another one gone, so there's only seven left now. Checking answers, writing better emails, and being more proactive. So I've already sort of touched on a few of these. Checking answers, you write your response to the client. You write the email, you stick the client's question into ChatGPT, into the HMR advisor if you want to, your response into it, and then ChatGPT will tell you whether you're right or not, and it will give you ideas as to where you should be improving it. Another example where we got a client that was looking to buy a property, and they wanted to know whether to buy it in their own name, the limited company name, or in their pension scheme. So we put the details into the pension. We're messing about with it. Put the details into ChatGPT, not the client's name, but the details of the transaction. Asked ChatGPT what 10 things it needed to know from us in order to be able to assess the taxation implications of that transaction and to give us a recommendation. It gave us 10 questions. And it reminded us about stamp duty. We'd done CGT and VAT and income tax and whatnot, but we'd forgotten the stamp duty implications. So because we'd put it in, it then asked the questions. We remember the stamp duty. We replied to the answers, and it gave us an analysis with a recommendation at the end as to what that client would do. Now you have to go through. It. It's 90%. We had to edit it and change it a little bit, but the factual construction of it was correct. So checking answers before you send it out. Writing better emails, as I've said. We've got a team member who's very direct. Yeah, why write 10 lines when one line will do? Very often, he doesn't. The client doesn't understand it. It comes backwards and forwards. So now what we've got him doing is dropping it into the email. It analyzes that email. Dropping it in ChatGPT. It analyzes that email in our tone, and then it comes back with a way that could be better understood by the client. There's loads of things, that income and expenditure. We talk about sales and revenue, and it talks about incomings and outgoings rather than income and expenditure, purely because that's the language that the clients talk about, cash in and cash out rather than so improving that. And then, as I say, being more proactive. So if I'm going to see a client next week, a haulage company next week, for example, I'm going to see the client, just whack it into ChatGPT. I'm going to see a haulage client next week. Can you give me the top 5 things that are happening in the industry at the moment? It will come back and it will tell me whether tyre prices are going up, diesel's gone down, whether there's a new thing, emissions thing that's come into London or whatever it is. It will come back, yeah? So when I'm going out to the client, I can go out and talk about those things from a place of knowledge rather than having to go to talk a place of knowledge rather than having to go in and have a conversation. So there's so much, as I say, there's so much you can do with it. And then the last one, which I've already kind of talked about, is the understanding your prospective customers better. So before you go out, you do your research. So before you go out, you do your research. You ask ChatGPT who they are, how many customers they know, how many employees they've got, how long they've been trading. It will come back and tell you all of that. It will give you the Twitter links and the LinkedIn profiles and whether they're on Instagram and all that sort of stuff. You can ask it who their competitors are, who their suppliers are most likely to be, whether the industry is growing or expanding. It will come back with a whole dossier of stuff. Now, if you do that a lot, then you just set up a bot to get it to answer those questions, and ultimately away you go. You go back infinitely better than what any other account is going in there. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Brilliant. Mark's put in the chat that he's bought a phone case rec off Amazon, similar to Claude. Yeah, there's a few out there. But I love it because of just the way it is. I like the design. But anyway, so they're the top three things that I'm using it for. Now the last thing is I'm going to say it's a little bit of fun, but again it provokes me, and I've posted this on the Facebook group. I think it was yesterday or on LinkedIn, or is it tomorrow? I'm going to share it and ask the question. Anyway, there's been so much going on recently that I'm starting to lose track as to where I am. And basically, it's the board you can't afford. Okay, so imagine having a board member, a board of directors that includes like a Branson's or Buffett or Lencioni, who's fantastic with team stuff, or Hormozy and his marketing line, and obviously me from the point of view of Socks Up Simon. So the way the board you can't afford works is basically I've created a set of instructions that include these people. So if I've got a strategic question or a question where I'm struggling to come up with an answer, instead of me going into ChatGPT and it just giving me general answers, I can go in and ask it what my board would recommend. And when it comes back, it will say, well, Patrick Lencioni would say, based on the team issues, that this is what they're thinking. Buffett would come back with a financial analysis. Branson would come back with the leadership and the vision and all that sort of stuff. But I've got a board, and I can't remember now how many. I'd have to go and have a look. There's got to be 20 people in there. They're all people. Keith Cunningham. They're all people whose books are Dan Pink. People whose books I've read that have changed, inspired, challenged, and supported me to be the person that I currently am. I've got some Eckhart Tolle, so some personal development stuff. Anthony Robbins is in there. There's a whole list of people. And the post on Friday afternoon, I think it is a bit of fun, is to ask you who would be on your board. So there are all the things that I've got from a slideshow perspective to share with you. I've got a question mark. I'm going to answer yours in a minute. And then I've got a few other questions I'm going to answer before my time's up at 8:30. So if you've got a question, there's your chance, or there's your time to get it in the chat box. You can see I'm sweating. I'm full of energy. Get it in the Q&A box, not the chat box. Get it in the Q&A box. So we can then I can then answer it. Then we just press that, so that comes back, so I can see we've just sold another one. So we're down to 6 left now at that 295. Obviously, you can still come. There's tickets left after those have sold, but there'll be more. There'll just be more money. So Mark's asked, when you pay, is it the personal or business plan? There's just me. So I've got the personal plans, both in Greenstones and in the Accountants Mastermind. There's all three of us are using it in the Mastermind, and there's only a few of us at the moment that are using it within Greenstone, so the managers and a couple of team members that are playing from a VAT rec and a bank rec perspective, which it's now doing some basic ones, and then admin team have got it as well for checking emails and stuff like that. But they're all on personal plans, on their own personal plans. So they basically, we're creating a chatbot. So the Greenstone's voice is created on one, and then that goes into each of them. So they basically click in a URL or click the chat icon in their ChatGPT, and they can use it. So that, again, I'll show you how that all works on the 10th. So that's answered that one, Mark. Mike Toombs, with things like HMRC Advisor, how did it get around the cutoff date for training? I think it's currently June. So basically what you do is tell it to look at the website, Mike. So instead of looking at what it already knows, what it's been taught, it goes out into the big wide world. So if you ask it to go out to the internet, it will now go out to the internet. But in this case, I only want it to look at HMRC's guidance. So if I tell it to go out to the internet and advise me on stamp duty on commercial property, for example, it will go out to the HMRC website, but it will go out to all the other blogs that there are out there. And if somebody's written something wrong, then it could come back to me with that wrong answer out of all of the stuff out there. So anything's on the internet, it's accessible. So that's how we get around that one, Mike. Sylvia said, how do you rate Copilot versus ChatGPT? I've played a bit with Copilot. I feel as though it's restrictive compared to ChatGPT. I'm not a massive Microsoft fan. I have Outlook and all the rest of it, but I'm an Apple through and through. ChatGPT is on Apple, or Apple are working with ChatGPT. So I've kind of gone down ChatGPT. I think ultimately, from what I've seen in recent times, Gemini, which is Google's version of ChatGPT. Gemini will overtake ChatGPT, but it changes all the time depending on where they are and how they've improved it. That one's a bit better than the other, and blah 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 blah. But I'm playing with ChatGPT, but anything that I'm sharing today, it's just take that instruction and move it across. So I'm not a massive fan of Copilot because I find it too restrictive. I'd much rather play with ChatGPT. So that's answered the questions in the box. Got 6 minutes left. If anybody's got any other questions, then please pop them in the Q&A box. One that I was going to definitely answer was Lena asked, how do you analyze a set of accounts using AI? Again, it's not great because it's mathematical. It's a lot better than what it was. And it's almost passable now. So one of the ways that we're using it, we use Iris Practice Management, and within Iris we can extract a 5-year trading summary. So we'll do 5-year profit and loss, 5 years balance sheet, block out the names at the top, blah blah blah, upload that into ChatGPT, and then get it to analyze it, and it can calculate gross profit margins, net profit margins, growth curves. It can create graphs from it, etc., etc. The problem with it is every now and again it will still make a mistake. So once it's generated it, you still have to go through and just check that it's done it correctly. So from a team member perspective, when I'm encouraging them to use it, it's like, yeah, but we do that and we still have to check it. So we might as well do it itself in the first place. So I'm sticking at the moment. You know what it's like? I'm massively enthusiastic about it. You go back to the practice and you try and get your team to do it, and then the team are reluctant. They'll be looking for things that don't work in order to keep comfortable. So I only really go to the team with stuff that I know that works. And financial analysis, it does work, but it's not massively great. Mark's just told me there's another one gone. I don't know how many that is now. I think we've got 6 left or 5 left. But anyway, they're all going. So you need to be in. Kaylee asked about using it for prep for meetings. I've talked lots about that already. What's the one piece of all AI, all accountancy is the HMRC bot? So Mike asked, what's the one piece of AI all accountancy firms should be using? And it's the HMRC bot that I shared with you a moment ago, because it gives you the answer if you don't know what you're talking about, and it will also check your answer if you do know what you're talking about. It can write your blogs and do all sorts of different bits and bobs. Dave Clark, what's the easiest and quickest pound for pound AI win you've implemented with your firm? The blog writing. So you can imagine what it's like. Content, it's like the lowest of the list of things for people to do. So a manager would have to write it, and then it'd go to somebody else to proofread it, and then it'd go back to make sure it's correct, and then it would get published, etc., etc. Now anybody can write those blogs. It's only the idea. Now anybody can write those blogs. Get it checked by the manager to make sure it's all right. And instead of it taking days of backwards and forwards and editing and changing and all the rest of it, it's just created in our voice, and it goes out there. If you haven't got an idea as to what you want to write your blog about, ask ChatGPT, tell it who your target market is, ask ChatGPT, it'll come back with some answers, and then away you go. You ask it to do that. Tim asked, what's the one thing I can use it for today that will save me an hour a week going forward? Start asking it questions, Tim. The more you ask it, the more you'll get used to it, the more you'll work with it, the more intuitive it will become, the more intuitive you'll become with it, and it just as I say, it becomes your natural place to go, whether it be your food, your recipes, your travel, your holiday arrangements, the work that you're doing, and all the other stuff that you're doing. Ross in the chat box or in the Q&A box has asked, I've been using ChatGPT for creative PowerPoints. Any tips on getting more than just text on each slide? I'm not a text person, Ross. On PowerPoint slides, if you've seen, that's probably the most text that I've had on any slide. So generally speaking, I do pictures. The text has been pretty rubbish up until the latest update when they put DALL-E into it, which I think was about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. And now 99% of the time it comes back with the text is accurate. It's spelt correctly. But again, as you see on the board, you can't afford Hormozy. You got the M missing if you was paying attention. But yeah, whatever picture it is, ask it. If you don't know, upload the slide and say, this is the text that I've got on the slide. Can you tell me what picture would represent that text? It will come back with 3, 4, 5, however many examples you want, and away it goes. And then Sharon's asked, I'm not able to make it on the 10th. Will there be another one? The other one is on the 11th, Sharon. And I'll probably get told off for saying this, but I think I've got one or possibly two spaces on that if we squeeze you in at the back. So if you want to come along, Sharon, then if you drop me a message or drop Michelle a message, she'll probably tell me I can't do that either. As on holiday, Michelle will probably tell me that I've got that wrong there as well. And it tell me that we haven't got any tickets left on the 11th. But anyway, the 10th is the place to be. So that's 2029. I think I've answered all those questions there. Mark is going to pop the URL for the day. Next date, please. Yeah, the next date would be. I'm pretty sure it would be next year. Oh, the videos we're having the event on the 11th is recorded, so you'll be able to watch. You'll be able to watch that on the video. You'll be able to buy the videos if you want to come along. Sharon's put you can ask thing. Yeah, so link to book on the 10th is in the chat box. I will leave that up there so you can grab one of the last ones left. As always, if you've got any questions or observations or anything you don't want to ask, then stick it in the Accountants Mastermind WhatsApp group or in the Facebook group, and I will gladly answer it. I'm going to go and get my tea now and have a shower because I've been proper excited. Thank you for all the thank yous. Probably the 10th won't be recorded. It'll be recorded on the 11th. But if you come along on the 10th and you want the recordings from the 11th, you can gladly have those as well. Mike, yeah, there's a massive amount to it. Thank you, Lorraine and Brady and Mark, and there's lots of things. But anyway, as I say, the real value, the massive amount of value, will be on the 10th of June, where I'll be able to go into it in a lot more detail, and you'll be up and running during the course of that day. You bring your laptops with you, you can play with it at break times and at lunch times. You can break it and then ask me whatever questions it is that you want to ask me, and away we go. But anyway, I'm waffling there, so that's it for now. Thank you very much. Love you lots. Bye bye. Thank you, Brady. Bye bye. Thank you for watching this video where I've shared loads of ideas of how you can use ChatGPT in your practice. If you've got value from watching it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you get to hear the next time we publish a video. And also, if you have any comments or questions, post them below the video and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I can. On the screen now, you'll see 2 more videos that we recommend that you watch next to inspire, challenge and support you to run the best practice you can.